people, and welcome to, I was going to say our 75th annual Hunger Games, and I'm not even meaning that ironically. That was literally what was about to come out of my mouth. You know what's on my brain, I guess. Anyway, welcome to our April wrap-up. That is what I meant to say. Okay, anyway, so this month, I ended up reading 22 books, which is pretty good, actually. Pretty good for me means I read more books in my spare time than I did almost anything else, which is good. And for me, I have a ton of spare time because my job, I can listen to audiobooks when I'm at my job. So I get through a ton of audiobooks just because I'm so stinking bored while I chop vegetables at a local pizza place. The year total, I've read 88 books so far, which again, I listen to audiobooks while I'm at my job. So if I had a regular job, that would be cut down. I'd read like 14 books, maybe a month. But it's just because I'm privileged to be able to listen to so many audiobooks. Really quick before we start talking about all the books that I read, which you can see right here, I'm gonna tell you my statistics really quick. So I had 2 3 stars, 1 3.5 star, 6 4 stars, which is actually kind of crazy. I didn't realize I had that many. 1 4.25 star, 3 4.5 stars, 2 4.75 stars, and 7 5 stars, 6 of which are rereads, which means I have 1 new 5-star book this month. And in total, I had 11 new books read and 11 reread books, which I think this is the first month I've had actually exactly equal, which I think is really cool because it was a really good balance actually for me mentally. And then the average rating was 4.35 stars. The median, so if you lined up all of the numbers in a row and found the middle one, that was 4.5 stars. The mode, so the one that I had the most of, was 5 stars, and the range of star ratings was 3 stars. Yeah, so now we're gonna get into our statistics and stuff. Oh, and this is my TBR shelf. I managed to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I managed to get to 7 out of 8 books. This month, the one that I didn't get to was Remarkably Bright Creatures, and that's because I was so sick for like a week. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten to it. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. Alright, so the first book that I read this month was Finding Beauty and the Beast by Jessalyn Stewart Peasley. I rated this one 4.5 stars. This book was a reread. I read it years ago. I literally do not even know how long ago it was at this point. These space buttons are giving me a headache. I remember why I don't do these very often now. So this book is like, I don't think it's the 3rd book in a series by Jessalyn Stewart Peasley, but it's like a book that happens in the same world as Ella and Ella's Will, which are 2 of my favorite books in the entire world and my favorite Cinderella retelling in the entire world. And it this happens like afterwards, and let me just say, I love when we get it from the Beast's perspective, from her perspective. So kind of the plot of this book is Corbin, I was gonna say Blue, but I don't think his name is Blue. I think his name's Corbin Gray, maybe? Corbin someone. He moves from the town where he used to live to this new town. And this new country, it's kind of like more dilapidated, it has worse taxes, like all this stuff is going on. And he's like, you know what, I just need to get away from this other relationship that I used to have because she is a jerk and she left me, and I'm just gonna go to this other world, like place to be a blacksmith there because I know they need a blacksmith. He just packs up his whole life and moves. And the day that he gets there, basically, the princess is like, hey, so everyone can bring me a gift, and the one that I like the best, you get to marry me. And everyone's like, we hate this, but like, what do we do? She's the princess and she's the beast because she has such terrible behavior. Do you see where we're going with this? So then Corbin brings her a rose that he finds, and she decides to make him her prince, and they get married. So that's kind of like the premise of that book. And I love it because it's technically dual perspective. So the very first chapter, you get a glimpse of the Beast's perspective, and immediately I'm hooked. I'm like, yes, please give me more of this. And then you get Corbin's perspective for like half of the book. And I love him, don't get me wrong, he's great, but like, I just wish we could have been able to dual perspective it, like back and forth, because 60% of the way through, or however long it is, you get her perspective for like 50 pages, and you're like, this is fantastic, I'm loving this, like, you are such a good character, and then it flips back to Corbin. And so the perspective of the Beast, 5 stars. Love it, she's fantastic. Corbin, like 4 stars. And so it averages out to 4.5 stars because I also love the writing. It just, as a writer, I understand kind of why she had to do it that way, because you don't want to be in a character's head when they're not progressing as character. And for most of the book, she's not progressing as a character. But then when she does start progressing as a character, you could have done like back and forth, and that would have made me happy, and it probably would have been a 5-star. But it just felt a little bit weird, and the pacing feels a little bit off in that book. But overall, she's one of my favorite authors. It's a very good book. The next book I read was Shadowfell by Juliet Marillier. I think it's French. I literally have no idea how to pronounce that, so I'm sorry. I rated this one 3 stars. It's the first book in the series. Don't ask me how long it is. I don't know. I read another book by her last-ish year, which I loved. Rated both of them because it was duology. Both of them 5 stars. And so I wanted to read another book by her. I think this one's just a completely different genre. And it's one of those, like, quest ones, so you have to, like, go on a journey and get to this thing and figure out stuff about yourself along the way. And it was good, but it just was not what I wanted, and the chapters themselves were so long, which I only knew because when I was looking in the audiobook, I saw that it was like 10 chapters, and the audiobook was like 16 hours long or something. Maybe it was only 12, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it just felt so long when I was reading it, and like, you learn all this stuff about the character, and she's so distrustful of everyone, which makes sense with the character development, but it's so annoying, because you're like, girl, I'm pretty sure this guy's fine, but she still doesn't believe that he's fine until literally the very end of the book, and I'm like, girl, you could have just made this easier on everyone and just believed him because he wasn't gonna hurt you. Anyway, it's a little bit frustrating, but I think since I'm through the first book, I might read the next book because I did enjoy most of the book. Most of the book I enjoyed. But just those parts that I didn't enjoy made it a 3 star. Now we have our first physical book that I read. Fablehaven by Brandon. Actually, Finding Beauty and the Beast was also a physical book, but it was a library book, so I had to return it because it was like at the beginning of the month. Anyway, I read Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. This is a reread. I rated it 4 stars because Seth is so stinking annoying at the beginning. And also, it's kind of slow, and it's way more middle grade than I remembered. Not slow. I'm meaning it's kind of differently paced than I remembered, because when you're younger, you kind of skip over all the parts that, like, don't really matter as much to you. But when I was rereading it, specifically because it's been so long since I read it the first time, I couldn't, like, mentally skip over a lot of the information because I had to, like, intake it because I forgot it all. But it's still really good. I really, really, really recommend this to elementary school or, like, middle grade people, maybe even into high school, especially if it's, like, your first fantasy. It's really, really good. I really like Brandon Mull, and I like his writing, but I don't love it. He used to be one of my very, very, very favorite writers, and now he's just kind of like one of my favorite authors, but like in a nostalgic way, if you know what I mean. He's still very good, but I do think he's more of a middle grade, high school-ish writer. But this, if you've never heard of Fablehaven, which I think it was like a huge thing when I was younger, but maybe it was just like where I live. Fablehaven has to do with Kendra and Seth, and they go to their grandparents' like mansion thing, and their grandparents live on this huge amount of land. And while they're there, they learn the secrets of the place that their grandparents live. And you just uncover it through the series. Obviously, it gets more convoluted and stuff. But the first book is a very, very, very good opener, but it does not tell you the full opening of the entire series. So if you don't like love it, I recommend reading at least the second book too, because that opens up like the real plot of the story and the real meat of the story, because the first book just kind of introduces you to kind of what the world feels like, and the second book, which I, coincidentally also finished, so this one I rated 4.25, this one tells you more about the world. Like, you understand kind of the plot and more of how it like keeps going through the world. It gets to like at the end of the book where you kind of understand where it's going to keep going. And this one, you get to meet new characters that are interesting. You get to meet more creatures in the world. Seth gets slightly better, which is why it's 4.25. But anyway, I do recommend reading at least the first 2 books if you want to read the series, but keep in mind it's very middle grade. And then I finished rereading this with my boyfriend. I was actually reading it to him, and I went back and forth between reading the Kindle version that I borrowed from the library and this version, which is the physical copy, and he actually really liked it, surprisingly. Okay, so the kind of the premise of this book and this whole series is there is a fairy godmother, except she's only a fair godmother because she's still training, which is hence the title, My Fair Godmother by, this is by Jeanette Rallison. I didn't even say the title or the name. Chrissy, she's learning how to be a godmother, and so she gets like these basically training pupils, and so this is the first book. There's 3 of them so far, and the author actually stopped writing them because Disney stole their idea and made a movie out of it and did not give them credit, and it made her really, really sad. And I wish, my mom has actually emailed her, which is kind of cool, and she's said like, hey, we really love your books, like if you want to ever write more, we'd love it. And she's like, thank you, I'm kind of sad, but like, thank you. So hopefully she does write some more. I love her books. I love this series specifically. So if by any magical chance she sees this, please, I love your books. Like, they're so, so, so good. Like, I've read a lot of like your other books that aren't just this too, and I love them. Please, please keep writing. Specifically this series, but like anything you want to write, a lot of people read it because we love your books. And also Disney's kind of a jerk when it comes to that sort of a thing. So I'm sorry. Also, I watched the movie and it wasn't even that good, so yay. Anyway, so she tries to help this girl who she got jinxed in love because her sister stole her boyfriend from her, and so she's like, well, what do I do now? And then the godmother comes and she's like, well, what do you want? And she's like, well, I just want to be loved and like this and this and that. And she's like, great, putting you in Cinderella. She gets shoved into Cinderella. And so basically it follows her as she tries to navigate this stupid godmother making so many mistakes. And she doesn't stay in Cinderella forever, but that's like the beginning of the thing. And she gets like thrown back in time and all this stuff. And this boy gets dragged along, and it's just so funny and it's lighthearted and it doesn't take itself too seriously, but also kind of like is like wholesome, you know, at the end. And I really like it. The series itself gets even better as it goes on. Like, I think my favorite one is the third one, because it just like, I think she also perfected her writing of these characters, because it's not the same main characters in every book, but Chrissy pops up in every single book. And it's so good. I really recommend the series. But anyway, 5 stars, and my boyfriend also liked it, so yay. So then I reread Glass Slippers Ever After and Me by Julie Wright. I rated this one 4 stars. This one was slower than I remembered. I read this like years ago. I read all 3 of her like contemporary romance, kind of like this vibe books in a row, basically. And I really liked them. I remember, I think I rated them all 5 stars at the beginning. And this one, on the reread, I rated 4 stars because it just has a weird pacing. And I understand why she had to do it this way, and I really like the story that she ended up telling, but it just, I don't know if she could have told it better. That's kind of like, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, how would I have changed this? I don't know if I would have changed anything about this book. I might have written it maybe the exact same way, but it just like has a little bit of a weird pacing, because there's a character that you meet at the very beginning who feels like should be more important than they are, but they're really just a plot structure, and it feels like maybe that person should have been more important the way through, but she also did need the really good structure of the thing. I'm trying not to give spoilers, but it has a really interesting pacing, but it is very good. I do recommend it. It talks about like basically the theme of the book is just actually doing your life, like living your life the way that you want to live it, and not waiting for the Cinderella effect to like apply to you. So basically, the plot of this book is the main girl, I forgot her name, do not ask me, she is an author, and she's basically almost given up on writing because she's like, I can't do this, I'm losing this like writing thing. Every single thing that I publish that like give out to agents, like no one ever wants it. I feel so discouraged. And then her best friend's like, hey, you should just, you know, write something different. And she's like, no. And then an idea clicks and she writes a book for like 3 weeks straight, takes time off of work, and then she submits it to the agent and the agent accepts it. And it basically her becoming like this overnight phenomenon, and how she gets basically molded to be into almost a better version of herself is how they try to like, it's a very interesting book. And then there's a very interesting romance too, which I also liked, but it's not my favorite one of her books, which looking back, I think I always kind of knew that it wasn't my favorite one of her books, but I kind of pretended that it was. You know when you kind of like delude yourself into thinking you like a book more than you think you do? It is a good book though. I do very highly recommend any of Julie Wright's books. I've liked all of them. I think all of them have been above like 3 stars and higher for her books. I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I rated it 4 stars. And let me just say, this book has swearing. It has not, this book particularly doesn't have very descriptive kissing, but other books in the series do. It has so stinking much violence, and it has maybe underage drinking. I don't even know how old she is, and technically it's not like real world, but like I just don't like it when they depict drinking for teenagers when you're younger. It's not cool. Don't drink when you're young. It messes with your brain. That's my little PSA for you all. Anyway, it's got a lot of stuff in it, and it also just, it's written for YA, and it's written as YA, but I don't think it's YA. I honestly think it's an adult series, and I have a lot of problems with the series, and I'm going to give a full-on spoiler vlog breakdown how I would have written this series better video after I finish Powerful, which I'm still in the middle of because I can only get it in this format from my library, like the discs. Has anyone ever used these since they were like 4? I know I haven't. It's actually kind of been fun. I might get more books from the library and read them this way, because it's really fun to just have a book in my car that I listen to, and I think I might actually just buy a CD player at some point, because I've been borrowing my boyfriend's and it's terrible. Anyway, this is not the book that I'm talking about right now. So if you haven't heard about Powerless, which if you haven't, how, it follows, I never knew this. Like when I was thinking about it, I did not realize it was kind of superpowery, because you hear like, oh, they have powers. It's superpowers, people. Get in that brain set when you're going into this, because it threw me off guard. And it also has like random references to like modern days. So like you hear about electricity, but then are you like, do they have plumbing? I literally don't know if they have plumbing, and you can't understand, do they have cell phones? Like, they have electricity, but they don't have cell phones. And it sounds like they have video footage and stuff like that, but they still use flyers to get information out. I have no idea what level of technology they have in this kingdom, and it was confusing, but that was like, that's the littlest part of my problems. Anyway, so it follows, what's her name, and she gets casted into this basically Hunger Games, but you don't necessarily die, and it's kind of like that quest thing, so you have to survive all of these things. Let me just say, the quests are boring. I do not know why they get so much attention put on the quests, and that's like the whole plot structure of the book, when they're so boring, like compared to anything in the Hunger Games, which Hunger Games is an entirely different thing by itself, because those books mean something, you know. These are more like just, you know, fun, fluffy fiction, basically. I have so many conflicting opinions, but I did enjoy the first book because Peyton, that's her name. Kai and Peyton are a good couple in the first book. They make sense, and I like seeing their flirting and their banter. Banter just means flirting, people. It took me so long to learn this, but bantering just means flirting. I would not recommend this book to anyone younger than 18, just because if you read this book, you're going to want to finish the series, and the series has so much stuff in it, and it gets deeper, which, you know, as I'm going to keep talking about this, let's talk about Reckless. So I also rated this one 4 stars because I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the whole, like, kind of chase aspect. I enjoyed the, like, we like each other, but we don't, but only halfway through, because the first half was kind of insufferable. It was fun. It was goofy, it was fun, and then at the end that thing happens. And then Fearless, I rated it 3 stars, but honestly, going back, I might rate it even lower, because the more that I think about it, I just get mad at it. Because it just had so many stupid problems, and the entire plot structure made no sense. This is a whole rant I'm going to give later, but like, also all these books have swearing, kissing, lots of violence, and drinking, but the last book also has sex. Technically it's not because it fades to black, but it does, like, it's like basically almost like it barely fades to black. Let's just say that. I do not recommend this series to anyone younger than 18. Let me just say that again. If you want to read it, go into it knowing that there is so much stuff in it, and it also doesn't really make sense. Just think of it as a fluffy time, but it's not going to pull together very good at the end, and it didn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, the longer I've thought about that series, the more I have disliked it, if that gives you any idea to my mental state while I talk about that. Anyway, I do think Lauren Roberts is a decent writer, but I think she tried too hard to bring her books out too close to each other, back to back to back to back to back, and I think if she had waited more time in between the books and actually thought about her plot more, she could have made it connect to the first book better, because the first book and even Powerful, they connect together pretty well. They make sense, but after that, it just kind of feels like she had an idea and she didn't connect it together enough, and there wasn't enough seeding put in, there wasn't enough time to make it feel like it mattered. It just kind of was like shock value through shock value. I have so many opinions. Anyway, that's that series. I'm gonna move on. Then I listened to Keeping the Castle by Patrice Kendall. I actually read the second book first, accidentally, but they kind of don't have anything to do with each other. I guess they're technically in the same world, but I honestly don't even know what characters are the ones that connect, because it's been so long since I read this that, like, I think I know what characters they were, but, like, I have no idea. I rated this one 4.75 stars because it was very, very cute. So this one was kind of like Regency romance, but it wasn't like where you normally get like the YA or the adult ones, and it's mostly like clean in the Regency era, you know. This one was like YA, but felt more like middle grade, and I actually really loved it because the love story was very cute, and it was simple, and it felt very Mr. Darcy Pride and Prejudice-esque, but in a way that's not the way that they always make it, you know, and it was cute. I liked it a lot. I honestly, if this author's written anything more, I probably will read it, but listen to it because her books are really good audiobooks. I tried to read the second book and it took me so long to get into it, and then I listened to it and I was like, oh, this is a great book, fantastic. So I do recommend her books as audiobooks. Now I read my second Julie Wright book, and this is Lies Jane Austen Told Me, which actually, I have the book. Let me go grab it. It's gotten loud in my house all of a sudden. I need to wrap this up quickly. Lies Jane Austen Told Me by Julie Wright. I found this at the thrift store actually after I finished reading the book, but I think it's fun to have a physical copy because I rated this one 5 stars. Again, I really, really, really like this book. It basically follows a character who is she's a hopeless romantic, but she's also so sick of love because it's just played her wrong so many times. She's so sick of like falling for a guy and then it not working out, but she's also so afraid of like to put her whole heart in a relationship, and it just scares her so badly. And it follows her. She had this boyfriend, and then she goes to his house because she got invited to stay over for the weekend and and to like meet his family and stuff. And then she gets there And she'd already said that she wouldn't go, but then her coworkers basically are like, you should go, he's probably gonna propose. If you're meeting the parents, he's gonna propose to you. So she's like, okay, whatever. So she surprises him at the house, and he's like, he had another girl over. And so she's livid. She breaks up with him. She's like, absolutely not, goodbye. And then she starts walking off his property, which, you know, is a mansion because, of course, he's ridiculously rich. And as she's walking out, his brother drives up the porch. Like, I think his brother drives past her, goes to the house, and then drives back. And he's like, hey, let me give you a ride home. And she's like, absolutely not. And he's like, well, I'm not going to open the gate for you unless you get in my car. And she's like, fine. So then he drives her home. And then it follows him, the brother, as he shows up at her work because he's a new work consultant. And she's like, this is so awkward. I hate this. You knew that I just like broke up with your brother, and you know the whole circumstances. Like, I feel so awkward and I hate this. And it follows them as they like get a friendship. And I love this book. It is so good. It is so funny. It has such good references to Jane Austen, and the the best friend in this book actually is the heroine of our next book we're going to talk about, which is Lies, Love, and Breakfast at Tiffany's by Julie Wright. I also rated this one 5 stars because it is so good. It might even be better than this one, but you know, they're both fantastic. That one is so good because I love the main character. She is a film editor, and she works for this boss who's basically just like so dumb he doesn't do his job. So she's doing the whole job. And so it comes to this one point where she desperately needs him to come and watch the final product, because if he doesn't sign the thing, then they're going to get in so much trouble in the next day. So she's trying to drag him out of this nightclub, her boss. And she comes across her friend, her old boss at the old place where she used to work. And she's like, hey, will you please help me? And he's like, absolutely. And so he comes and helps her, and all this stuff happens. And it is the most sweetest, kindest, wonderfulest love story I think I've ever read. It does have miscommunication, but it's not like annoying, and it is so good. I love Julie Wright's writing. It literally is so good. I think Lies, Jane Austen told me, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and then Shannon Hale wrote the Austenland series. Those are like my favorite books that rely on old classic stuff, but they make it their own, and it's so good. And to think that I discovered these when I was so young, and my taste is still pretty much the same. I'm really happy about that, actually. By this point, I had been slowly working my way through Grip of the Shadow Plague, and I've been getting a little bit sick of Brandon Mole at this point. But this one is still a 4.5 star. I do like this one. It opens up the world more. I can't really tell you because it's the third book in the series. But at this point, I was like, I'm taking a break from Brandon Mole because I'm getting a little bit sick of his writing. Because his writing is good, but you know when you have too much of a good thing, you just get tired of it. So, this book is good. 4.5 stars. Third book in the Fablehaven. Do recommend the series. Now, we go on to Pat of Silverbush by Ella Montgomery, 5 stars. I love anything Ella Montgomery has touched and written. So good. This follows a girl who basically, she just loves her house. She loves her family, she loves her house, she hates change. There's literally, I think one of the first lines it says Judy Plum. She's like the household person who helps, like the cook, basically. She's talking about how they were forced to give not forced, but they sell their milk to the cheese factory instead of making the cheeses themselves. And Pat, she's like, oh my goodness, please don't keep making the cheeses. And she's like, okay, I'll keep making 2 or 3 for the family. And then she says, what do the men be knowing about making cheeses? Oh, the changes since I first came to the island. And then Pat says, I hate changes, almost in tears. And when I read that, I was like, that's me. That's me in my soul. I hate change so badly, but I yearn for it all the same. It is the most complicated feeling, but I love Pat so much. And this book follows her, I think, until she's like 16 or something, because it follows her first love, I think. And the second book, I'm so excited to read. I actually am planning on picking it up later today and keep reading it. It's been a couple weeks since I've read this one, just because I've been reading other books in the meantime, but I love Pat of Silverbush. It is shorter than Anne of Green Gables. So if you want to read a series that has a very good resolution, it's very quick, this one only has the 2. It has Pat of Silverbush and Mistress Pat, and it's not as well talked about, but I love it so much. I'm also really excited to reread Emily of New Moon soon, and that one also only has 3 books if you want to read a full complete series by Ella Montgomery. That one is also very short. Now, the next book I read was Squirrel Meets World by Shannon Hill. This is the first book in like the Squirrel Girl series, which is I guess it's a take on a Marvel comic, but it's a book. It was cute. I've never read a Marvel anything, and it was kind of fun to like embrace Marvel in a different way, just because I have not been watching Marvel movies, because if you know, Marvel is kind of not as fun anymore. But this was a very fun series, and my boyfriend actually listened to it first, and I was like, can I listen to it now? And he's like, yeah, I'm done with it. So then I listened to it. He's been doing that lately because he won't find his own audiobooks. He'll just listen to mine because he's signed into my Libby account because he thinks it's fun, and also if I get a book, he might as well read it because I already had it checked out. It's funny, but it's also kind of annoying when I want to listen to something, he's already listened to it or listening to it, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to get you out of your place. Anyway, that one's a good book. 4.5 stars. It follows, what is the plot? It's like Squirrel Girl. So it's a girl who, we don't even know how, but she's like half squirrel, moving to a new town and then discovering there's a lot of weird stuff going on and then being a superhero, you know? And it's cute. I think she's like 12 or something like that, and her parents are like so stinking supportive. That was like the funniest part of the whole book, is just how supportive her parents are. Now we've got On the Fence by Casey West. 5 stars. Reread. So good. I always love Casey West book, and this book follows a girl who basically, she has 3 brothers and then a next door neighbor who is basically her brother, and she loves to do sports and all this stuff, but she also speeds in her car. And she got a ticket, and her dad's like, hey, I'm not paying for these anymore. You have to pay for your ticket and this and that and the damages and the insurance. And she's like, ugh. And he's like, go get a job. And she's like, what? Why do I have to get a job? And he's like, because you have to pay this back. And she's like, I don't want to get a job. So she goes and gets a job, and it follows her. She like discovers like the more feminine aspects of herself. And someone made a review that said it's literally just a pick-me girl. And I can't unread that. It is slightly true, but it's not in an annoying way. Like, if you know the reason why she is the way that she is, she's not doing it because she's being mean or whatever. It's because there's a really legitimate reason for it. And as you discover, it's really cute. And the love story is top tier. I love that book. I think about it all the time, honestly. That's one of my favorite ones. I think On the Fence, Maybe This Time, and Places We've Never Been probably are my top 3 at this point of my favorite Casey West books. Now I read Over Sea, Under Stone, #1 in this series by Suzanne Cooper. This one was a 3.5 star. I liked it, but it's definitely more of a boy book and more of like a middle, younger age book. It was good. I would recommend it. It is a longer series, which I haven't finished yet, obviously. I'll let you know if it's any good. But it gave me like Narnia vibes almost, even though it's not a magical book. It is slightly magical, but it was fun. I liked it quite a lot. Okay, Sister of the Bride by Beverly Cleary. 4 stars. This book was so funny because I don't think I've ever read a book that has said my name so many times in it, because it follows the sister of the bride, and the bride's name is Rosemary. It was so weird. Literally on a page, I'd read it like 4 or 5 times. And my name doesn't show up in books very often, so when it does, it's not very often, but like seeing your own name so many times, I don't know anyone, how could anyone name like Katie or Amy or something? Like, stand to see your name so many times in a book, it would be so weird. Anyway, I really like this one. It follows a girl whose sister's getting married. She's the younger girl, so she's basically like, well, if she's doing this, I need to do this. So she like tries to get her own romance going, but it doesn't really follow the younger sister. It's more following the younger sister watching her older sister and having anxiety for her older sister's choices the whole time. And it was very interesting because I'm like, is this the way my younger sister feels about me? Because I also have a younger sister with not the same age gap, but it's like similar. And it was funny. I'm definitely gonna give this to her to read and be like, is this how you feel? Because if you do, I'm sorry. Okay, then I read Reunion by Ali Condi. This is the 3rd book in the yearbook series, which, let me just say, I have ranted about this multiple times on this series, like this channel. I love these books. They're literally my favorite in the entire world, and if I could force everyone to read them, I would, but I know not everyone would enjoy them, but I still want everyone to read them. Also, I managed to get signed copies of all of them. I found them at the thrift store. I'm so excited. I have the whole series. Now I just need Being 16 signed, and all of my favorite books by her will be signed. I also found the Matched series, which I think I'll do a reread of at some point because it was years ago when I read them. And she is my favorite author, so I want to give like her most popular series a chance again. You know, that one's dystopian, and dystopian historically is not my favorite genre, but someday I'm going to give that one a chance. Anyway, love this. Can't tell you too much about the plot because it's the 3rd book in the series, but love it so much. Even if you just want to read one of her books, honestly, Being 16 is a really, really good book. I'm just going to recommend the book that I'm not talking about right now. That one follows a girl who it follows a girl who notices that her sister is having problems at school, and it follows an eating disorder, but for the sister. It is so interesting, and it was probably the first time when I was younger that I truly like understood how deep and horrible they get. And it's not romanticized at all. It's like telling about the dangers of it, and I really recommend that book, honestly, for any young girl. from like ages of 12 to I should probably do a reread of it at my age. And my mom also read it, she really liked it. My brothers have read it and they really like it. It's a very good book, and it tells about a very important issue in, you know, today's society. Anyway, love Ali Condi. Any of her books are really good, honestly. I love all of them. Then I read The False Prince by Jennifer A. Nielsen. I rated this one 4 stars because the beginning of the book, I was so mad at the main character, and then halfway through I realized that he was hiding stuff from the reader and everyone else in the book. And then once you figure that out, I was like, okay, this makes sense. So I might actually finish the trilogy now because I'm not mad at the main character. It was very interesting. It follows a plot of basically in this country, they have the king and the queen, obviously, and then they have the regents, which is kind of like the round table kind of a thing, like the people who talk to the king and they talk about stuff. And so this follows one of the regents who's basically making plans to mold a young orphan boy to act like the heir to the throne who went missing years ago and is presumed dead, and put him on the throne as like a pretender. And if you don't follow through, obviously you're gonna die because he's gonna kill you. So it's like a contest almost of these boys trying to become the false prince. And the main character is so annoying, but once you figure out why, it's actually really, really good. So I recommend getting at least like 75% of the way through this book, or just reading the first book and seeing if you like it. I can't recommend the whole series because obviously I haven't read it, but I did enjoy this book. And that was recommended to me by my wonderful boyfriend. My ear is so itchy. Then I finally read House of Many Ways by Diane Wynne Jones. I rated this one 4.75 stars, and I think if I read it closer in proximity to like the first 2 books, I would have enjoyed it way more. This is the 3rd book in the Howl's Moving Castle series, and it was so fun to see Howl again, although to be honest, Howl is not my favorite character. He's so funny, but I would have been so mad at him in this book, let's just say that. Anyway, I really like this book. I like their main character. I like the plot that she goes through. I like the character development that she gets. It's really satisfying. I really like the way that Diane Wynne Jones writes. I need to read more of her books, and I know she's written more, so I'm excited. Then, the very, very last book that I read this month was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the 2nd prequel to the Hunger Games series, and let me just say, I bawled my eyes out. This was 5 stars, obviously. Also, this one has violence and children murder, which is just, you know, that's basically trigger warnings for all of the Hunger Games. It also has alcohol usage, and I don't think they're swearing in this one, actually. But this book was Haymitch's story, and it ruined me. I was bawling my eyes out, and I cannot wait for the movie. Not in the whole like, oh, I can't wait for the movie to see it. I just really want to see how they portray that on the screen, because it was beautiful, and it was horrible, and it was so sad, and Haymitch's inner thoughts are so important to this story that I'm so interested to see how they do that on the screen. And it also made me, I can't cry. I spent way too long on this makeup. And also the moral of this story was so good, and the more that I've thought about it, because I finished it yesterday, the more that I've thought about that book, the more that I've realized just like how beautifully she set this one up. And I read a review that said that it was unnecessary and they should have followed a different plot line because Haymitch, you already learned about his games from like Catching Fire. I'm like, no, the whole point was that you did not learn about his games in Catching Fire. Like, you think you did, but you didn't. And that's the whole point of the book. And Haymitch is so much more of a complex character than I totally did not give him enough credit. And I'm really, if she does do more books, I would love to read more of her books. But I don't think she needs to do more in the Hunger Games to get her point across. Of course, everyone always wants the drama, obviously, but these books are so much more than just like, oh, and then this book, and it's so, like, the drama and the pain. It's like, this is literally child murder. Why are you... Because I know when I read them the first time, I was like, oh man, the drama of all of it. But now I'm like, there's an allegory in this series. Like, a huge allegory in this series. And yeah, the end of it is like kind of hard, but like that's the whole point. And like, yeah, it doesn't show you Haymitch's life through the other parts of it, because the whole point was to show that he used to be happy. I can't cry. This was a very good reading month. I really enjoyed Sunrise on the Reaping. It probably was my favorite book I read this entire month, and it was on the very last day of the month that I ended up reading it. Please let me know what you felt about Sunrise on the Reaping and the Powerful series, Powerless series. I keep mixing that up because I have so many opinions, and I know people did enjoy it, but most of the people that I watch enjoyed it with like a lot of, you know, footnotes to that enjoyment. I just think it was badly written. honestly. Like, she could have, not that it was, okay, it wasn't badly written, it was badly planned out. Because the writing was the way the writing was in the whole series. But I do think it was not planned out very well. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting about Powerless. I already told you I was going to stop ranting about Powerless. I will see you next month with more talking about stuff. And hopefully a video should come out either before or after this where I try to finish my TBR. So have fun with that. I do give more or maybe equal in-depth reviews in that video. Who knows? I don't even know at this point. I haven't started editing it, which I was so on top of my editing game, guys. And now I fell off a little bit, which I'm kind of sad about, but it's fine. I will see y'all later. Who knows when, because my upload schedule is trash. But I will see you later. Goodbye. Mwah. I totally forgot to take a clip of me holding the whole stack. That's tradition at this point. How dare I? Anyway, here's the whole stack. Now for real, goodbye.